El radioarte. El radioarte es la inspiración que se le hace al receptor, al oyente que escucha, a que pueda configurar un escenario propio. Se apela mucho al aspecto subjetivo del radialista, la persona que elabora esta pieza. Debe ser armónico, es decir, que sonar bien. Es un género totalmente libre en su construcción.
Totalmente libre en su construcción.
Radio art is the invitation that we make to the receiver,
the radio listener.
Time to configure the space of their own. We appeal to the person who creates the piece, the artist's subjectivity. It has to be harmonic.
Los ingredientes con los que vamos a trabajar son los elementos del lenguaje, con música, con efectos, con la voz, la palabra y con el silencio.
It has to sound good. It is a completely free genre when it comes to framework.
Música, con efectos, con la voz, la palabra y con el silencio.
There is no rigid diagram or structure that allow us to design radio art. You're listening to the noise, the message.
Para una mejor escucha, recomendamos el uso de auriculares.
Okay, my name is Meira Asher. Actually, in a Hebrew accent.
Another religious boy again does another act of a saint. Bus, bike, boat, or by feet, Shahid drives a holy deadbeat. Another religious boy again does another act of a saint. Bus, bike, boat, or by feet, Shahid drives a holy deadbeat. Another religious boy again does another act of a saint. Bus, bike, boat, or by feet, Shahid drives a holy deadbeat. And a selected army squad sent to the village where he stayed, say to his family, house, and explode his house. Street cleaners do an exceptional job. be despair. Do not dare. In the Holy Land, there is no time to spare, to be despair. You just stand there and stare. In the Holy Land, there is no time to spare, to be despair. Must I continue and bear another religious boy again does another act of a saint. Pass by boat or by feet, Shahid drives a holy deadbeat.
Right now I live in the Galilee, which is in the north of Israel. I live here for the last 10 years. Prior to this, I lived in Holland, in the Netherlands. I consider myself as a citizen of the world. I don't have any inclination to any particular place. That at least is my ideology. Right now I'm here. I brought my family here. I have 3 children. This is where I was born, but we moved back here because I got a little bit fed up of the Central European weather. It's lacking a lot of sun. There is not enough sun and there is not enough warmth. As somebody from the Middle East, from the Mediterranean, it's very difficult to sustain this weather condition. So, yeah, we have been here for the last 10 years and now we're a little bit getting ready to move on. Yeah, what else would you like to know?
Now the boy is in fast, really excited to be blast. Ready for the feast, I'm gonna head up in the mist, I wanna join. My bodies are expecting me. Down here, there is no one left for me. My bodies are expecting me. Down here, there is no one left for me as underdogs in quarantine. There is no bread but discipline. I am alive, I am a dead. I'm gonna go straight to be shredded. No alibi, eye for an eye. Nobody denies me in the sky. I am alive, I am dead. I'm gonna go straight to be shredded. No alibi, eye for an eye. Nobody denies me in the sky. I am alive, I am dead. I'm gonna go straight to be shredded. No alibi, eye for an eye. Nobody denies me in the sky. I am another religious boy again. I do another act of a saint. Bus, bike, boat, or by feet. She drives a holy deadbeat. Slaughter in a cave, the sick physician brought a holy grave. Nice, you tolerate a Jewish boy assassinator. You're assassinator. You're assassinator. You're assassinator. You're assassinator. You stuff in his fucking face butter. As we Asian weeds down in the gutter, subjugated by a nation. The boy is on vacation. Subjugated by your nation. The boy is on vacation. Histories by degrees. Deportees on your knees. Got no case. Chosen race. Genocide leaves a trace. Histories by degrees. Deportees on your knees. Got no case. Chosen race. Genocide leaves a trace.
As a woman, that's right. Yes, I don't. The fact that I'm a woman doesn't make any difference for me. Yeah, sometimes it helps me, being a woman. It helps me in the sense that I suppose that when I approach some communities and when I approach some people, the fact that I'm being a woman, a motherly figure, in my case, maybe helps me to approach people closer. I'm less intimidating, although I'm quite of a intimidating character. I could be very provocative, or how should you call it? Confrontational. Still, I think the being a woman is in many senses very helpful. That's all I can say. You know, there's not much. You know, when I'm very focused on the subjects I want to address, so I'm not really considering my feminine or non-feminine sides are mixed into my persona. It's not very much of an issue.
It is a time to count the dead.
Radio art for me is a very open form. And the fact that it's a very open form, it allows me to experiment as much as I want.
Soundscape.
I always collaborate with a very open-minded platforms where I can do anything I want. I did have a little bit of encounter with a more kind of middle of the road, we should say conventional radio stations. But that didn't succeed because I cannot take any instructions, orders, directions from anybody. I do, and this is why maybe radio art really suits my way of creativity. It's about deep listening. It's about getting as deep as you want and having an innovative experience of both transmitting and listening. The connection, the communication with the listener on the other side, which is unpredictable. All these factors for me are excellent for, I believe, for what I do or I'm trying to do. So radio art is a sort of just a home, a good home, as a platform to create and communicate. Actually, I reached this place on a very specific moment. It was in 2010 when I was trying to produce my second documentary film. And that second documentary film was supposed to be about child immigrants, unaccompanied child immigrants. Specifically the ones who make their way from North and West Africa into South Europe, Spain in particular. And I remember myself preparing for the documentary, being there in the Canary Islands for a long period of time, and also in Barcelona, and doing a lot of work there and meeting a lot of kids, filming, talking, spending time with unaccompanied child migrants. It was intense. And at a certain moment, when I kind of found it to be very extremely difficult to, I'm saying in hyphens, to sell the films and the film idea to some TV stations, I decided to divert to radio art on the spot. I basically took a big hammer. I hammered the whole idea of the documentary film to nothing, to dust. And I said, okay, that's it, no more for me. I'm going back to sound. Just leave me alone, you know? It was a nightmare, actually. So this is how I entered the radio art domain. I had several channels of activity, specifically in the Canary Islands. And one of those channels was the trafficked Nigerian girls into Gran Canaria. Of course, there were not only the Nigerian women, but mainly, yes, I was, my protagonists were Nigerian. And then I was also working with them, and I thought, let us do something with them. So this is how that was, I think it was my first official radio art creation. No, because before that there was a lot of stuff which was extremely radiophonic, but I never defined it as such. But diving into the radio art platform or a world was that moment.
They set the boat on fire.
Yeah.
Her boy, my boy, your boy, our boy. Who the hell sets a young boy on fire? They, scum. Soundproof chamber among soaring mountains. My children are sound asleep under the stars, sea-trained. I sit still by the stairs to the chamber. My head surrenders to visions of horror. Abduction. Someone's descending the mountain behind, coming here, lifting my daughter, running away. She cries, Ima, Ima, Ima. My eyelids start drooping. I fall asleep, not knowing, Ima, what will my eyes encounter tomorrow, Ima? Will they all be here? What if one will be missing? Taken to the mountains, to a temporary base camp, tortured, set on fire, alive. Soundproof skull, chamber of grey matter.
What do I do?
Blasting, shrink.
I do... I am a political artist, I could say, from the very beginning. But as the years went by, it became more and more articulated and clear to me that my social, political activity is inseparable from my art. And that's what I do. I compose, I teach at the Haifa University, I teach radio art, and I teach rhythm in all sorts of forms. Sometimes I teach traditional rhythm, sometimes I teach the transformation of traditional rhythm into contemporary music. I teach polyrhythmics. I'm a drummer as well, a percussionist. I studied a lot of traditional percussion. My main fields of percussion are the North Indian classical music and West African percussion, traditional. But I made the whole journey from extremely traditional stuff to contemporary, improvised, free, open, noise, whatever you want to call it. So all these worlds have been visited and kind of worked their way into my art making. Nowadays, I teach also Hebrew to native Arab speakers. I teach in several high schools, Arab high schools. I teach spoken Hebrew, and I also teach English. This is more for young ages, but the reason there is different. I just want to help them with their English because the level of English studies in our local school is a little bit dull. So I decided to invest there and help the kids with their English, to progress with their English. And I'm also active on the ground with this. Depends. Generally speaking, I'm active against the occupation of Palestine by the Israeli state. I'm active with Palestinian administrative detainees. And right now busy with a project which is dealing with the femicide in Israel. Yeah.
בחלב אמו סדר לי סדר לי כוס עמוק ברקה נוק מוח בכוח עקר לי עין תחת עין קבל סיגרת בפנים עד עצם הלסת לא עושה בשר כבוש סף בחלב אמו סדר לי כוס עמוק ברקה נוק מוח בכוח עקר לי עין תחת עין תחת עין לעטף פורקי צינור צווארי צמאי תאר מסתכל כפות שערות דם דביקות בואו לי תראש באדם השך תן לי להריח את האמא שלך זל שימשה עיסת זבל לעץ קרן קיימת טעם קרן נעלמת על ראש ילד מפגר עם מגרפה ומעדר שים אבן שים אבן אני בעביתות שב אני בעביתות שב אני בעביתות סתכל אני מפרפרת סתכל אני מפרפרת קבל רגעים אחרונים יוצאים כל המיצים שב אני בעביתות גרסן אותי בעורף אבשת אורי קרא בשרי אפרד נעקה חלקי ברי פנימי מעי לצליבת ידיים נמקות למאוזן תולה זרועות חלולות מאונחות לתקרת רחם קר רחמי מכאן נועים 70 על 70 רחם בטוב מקבע צלם רטובים מכות יבשות. שים אבן.
No, I think I have my own voice. Not sound, voice. Everything that I would use is actually, how should I say it? Every sound I use is serving my voice. When I have, because I'm speaking about very specific issues, not always, like recently, for example, I composed some music for Jeff Zoria. He's from Buenos Aires and he's a filmmaker. He's doing amazing films. He's working only with real film and manipulation of film, no digital, analog. So this was the second time we worked together. He just completing a movie, which is all made from film, which is Corona Diaries that he recorded in Buenos Aires. And you take, that's maybe as an exception because I wasn't using my voice, but I was using my noise. But usually, I have a very specific subject matters, and this is where my voice comes out in order to describe or make some points about some issues. So I think, yes, I have my voice. Yeah, my voice, my sound. Mm-hmm.
The olive harvest in the West Bank is taking place under constant Israeli land grab, restrictions on access to the plots, settlers' attacks on harvesters, and vandalization of olive trees. Akif Jum'a is from the village of Kadum. His testimony is similar to incidents which I have witnessed.
انتوا في أراضي كفر قدوم. كفر قدوم قرية تابعة إلى محافظة قلقيلية. كفر قدوم تشتهر بالزيتون وبالزراعة. طبعا في مساحة كفر قدوم 25,000 دنم.
We are on the lands of Kadum village. The village belongs to the Kalkilia district. Kadum is famous for its olive trees and agriculture, with territory of 25,000 dunams.
في عنا 11,000 دنم. 11,000 دنم الجيش الإسرائيلي منعنا من الوصول إليهم إلا عن طريق التنسيق الأمني.
We have 11,000 dunams from which the Israeli army, the IDF, prevents us reaching unless it is coordinated with them.
بحجة إنه منطقة C.
Israel claims that these lands are in Area C.
وإحنا طبعا بنقول للاحتلال أو للجيش الإسرائيلي إنه فيش عندنا منطقة اسمها سي ومنطقة اسمها ألف. كل هذه الأراضي أراضي فلسطينية وأراضي كفر قدوم.
We say to the Israeli army and occupation that there is no Area C or Area A. All these lands are Palestinian lands and the lands of Kadum village.
خلاص كان هذا الطوفان. يعني كل أعمال الجيش ومنع على الوصول لأراضينا فقط من أجل عدد محدود من المستوطنين الذين لا نعرف من أين أتوا ولا نعرف من أين أصلهم ولا فصلهم ولا بنعرف منين هم أصلا. هم أجوا علينا هان، إحنا الموجودين، هم الضيوف، هم الغريبين اللي هنا.
This means that all the work the IDF does is purely to prevent us from reaching our land because of some Israeli settlers, and we do not even know where they came from. They are the ones who came to us here. We are the locals and they are the guests. The olive tree does not weep and does not laugh. The olive tree is the hillside's modest female. Shadow covers her one leg, and she will not take her leaves off in front of the storm. Standing, she is seated, and seated, standing.
طبعا يعني اهالي كفر قدوم يعني بلد طيب واهلها طيبين وما صارش مشاكل بيننا وبين يعني الجيش يعني ما صارش اي مشكله مثلا معروف يعني حدا يعني عمل كثير بالعكس ولا مره هم الجيش اصلا اللي بيجوا علينا وبيعملوا معنا مشاكل فقط بس مشان هدول المستوطنين.
لا ما استغلال بابا חוזר ואומר. למה אסור לעבוד פה אבל? אני חוזר ואומר. אני חוזר ואומר. למה אסור לעבוד פה אבל?
She lives as a friendly sister of eternity, neighbor of time that helps her stock her luminous oil and forget the invaders' names, except the Romans, who coexisted with her and borrowed some of her branches to weave wreaths.
هو احنا يعني اساس مشكلتنا كفر قدوم مع الجيش انه هناك كان معسكر للجيش الاردني. لما في 67 احتلونا
with the IDF is that it has an army base here. And when they conquered us in 67, the Jordanian army left and the Israeli army came in its place. Now the Israeli army began to fix security zones, determine places that should not be entered, and then brought us the settlers. The settlers are cowardly people. Wherever the IDF is, there they build their settlement, so the army will guard them. They did not treat her as a prisoner of war, but as a venerable grandmother, before whose calm dignity swords shatter. In her reticent silver-green color, hesitates to say what it thinks, and to look at what is behind the portrait, for the olive tree is neither green nor silver.
احنا بنقول يعني احنا يعني بنوجه رسالتنا للشعب الاسرائيلي، يعني مفيش مشكله بيننا وبين الشعب الاسرائيلي. والله احنا عادي يعني مقنعين انه لازم دوله بجنب دوله، مقنعين انه هم دولة واحنا لازم يصير لنا دولة لان احنا نستحق الدولة اصلا. فاهم علي؟ لانه احنا شعب زينا زيهم، يعني شو المشكلة يعني بيننا وبينهم؟ هم يعيشوا واحنا نعيش، بس كيف ضمن انه كل واحد له دولته ونضل اصحاب واصدقاء.
We convey our message to the Israeli people. I have no problem with the Israeli people. We are convinced that we must live side by side. And just as they built a country, so do we deserve our country. Because we are a nation, like them, what is the problem between us and them? They will live, and we will also live. But that means that every nation has its own state, and we will be friends.
אני לא הבנתי למה רציתם להתקפל. אסור לעבוד פה עכשיו, אחי, אסור לעבוד. למה אסור לעבוד פה אבל?
The olive tree is the color of peace. If peace needed a color, no one says to the olive tree, how beautiful you are, but how noble and how splendid. And she who teaches soldiers to lay down their rifles, and re-educates them in tenderness and humility. Go home and light your lamps with my oil.
يعني انتوا شايفين الارض لا يعني الارض بدها شغل، بدها حرات، بدها الزيتون بده تنظيف هذا كل هذا الاشي اللي هم مانعيننا نعمله. يعني السنة ما قدرنا نوصل هذه الارض، لهذا السبب شفتوا كيف شكل الارض كلها شوك وشو، يعني ما حدا عارف يشتغل فيها. يعني هسه كشة كبريتي بتولع كل الارض، بتروح الارض وبضلش ارض.
You see the land. Soil needs work, it needs plowing. The olive trees need upkeep. All this, the Jews are preventing us from doing. This year, we were unable to reach our lands. And you see the earth. Nobody can work here because of its condition. Now, a match can burn all this land and leave nothing.
هم بيحكوا إنه بنعطيكم 8 أيام خلصوا الأرض. كيف أنا بدي أخلص الأرض ب8 أيام؟
They say, we give you 8 days to finish your work on the land. How can I finish the job in 8 days?
يعني وثاني شيء فيش عمال. ليش؟ لأن كل واحد بكبر قدوم عنده أرض ومخرج يعني بيشتغل فيها. كيف بدي أجيب عمال؟ منين أجيب عمال؟ منين أستورد عمال؟ يعني نستورد من أوروبا.
Secondly, there are no workers. Everybody in Kadum has land and he works there. So where will I get workers from? Where? Should I import workers from Europe?
يعني بنخلي هسه بعد 8 أيام بضل الزيتون على الشجر وبينزل المطر، ما نقدرش نشتغل، بتروح الأرض.
Now, after 8 days, we have to leave the olives on the trees and it's raining, so we can't work and so we lose the soil. This is always the case. But these soldiers, these modern soldiers, besiege her with bulldozers and uproot her from her lineage of earth. They vanquished our grandmother who foundered, her branches on the ground, her roots in the sky. One of the settlers came. He came to me and my little children. We were me, my little grandchildren and my wife, just us. Do you understand me? This is the first day. I came here and the settler came and said, "What are you doing?"
I can't answer this really, it's very, I should say, it's spontaneous and, silence and noise are two things, extreme noise and extreme silence, I think are very prevalent in my world. For example, I live in a very silent village. I came here to this very noisy place, meaning noisy in the political sense, in the social sense. It's very noisy, very problematic. Actually, very problematic is not enough to describe how terrible the situation is here. And at the same time, I live in a very quiet place, really very quiet. I live in a 400 and something meters high, I don't remember the height of the village where I live, on a mountain. All around me, just mountains. You don't even hear a car, you don't hear people talking on the street. And the reason is, I suppose, is my need to have those two edges active in my brain, the extreme silence and the extreme noise. I think they have a constant dialogue in my creative life. It's a conflict, again. I believe very much in conflicting situations, in performance and in composition, as a way of creating, as a way of composing. that things should not be fluent, should always be a friction between elements. So that would be my best description of the place of silence and noise in my stuff. Now, if you take, for example, North Jordan Valley, which is a place where I am active, in particular, you know, what we do there is we accompany Palestinian shepherds because we need to help them to go on with their lives in that place. This place is occupied by the Israeli military, so the military keeps hustling the local Palestinian communities constantly. I think the piece describes very well what are the main harassments, but I think in that piece you can really hear, feel that tension of silence and noise. Not everything is explained in this piece unless I explain it verbally. Intentionally so, you know, for example, all the voices that you hear in this piece behind the main activities or events that take place are layers of me reading what you call demolition orders of the Israeli administration, meaning they come with a warrant and they say, okay, within the next few weeks, we're gonna demolish your house, or we're gonna demolish not only your house, but everything, your house, the place where your animals live, etc. So that silent voice, which is there under everything, bubbling, is actually those demolition orders. And demolition orders and the act of demolition is extremely violent and very noisy. It's a massive event, traumatic, super traumatic. So, yeah.
There is a concerted project by the Israeli state to make life intolerable for the Palestinians remaining in the Jordan Valley, for the purposes of de facto annexation of this land and its resources. There is a concerted project by the Israeli state to make life intolerable for the Palestinians remaining in the Jordan Valley, for the purposes of de facto annexation of this land and its resources.
צו מבנים פודimos, הוראת שעה, יהודה והשומרון, מספר 39, תשס"ד 2003, על שטח מתוחם.
والله بعزورة زي كشي موت لخيوط كل زمان بو أصور في جامع أصور يعني نرسل خيوط شايف ايه فون يليخ اما كوما زي أصور ايه فون يليخ نسيخ الخيوط يعني نرسل تين ليرديم شي يتين لهم أخي البكوخ شلي نحن يش لنا بروت يش لنا كبسيم زرعيم زي ماشي يعني يخليهم لعسود لو زي منع اللي يقنوب الخيم القنوب أنا خايم بشلوم لو مدبري لو متعسكيم لو زي هنسيم رسيل خيوط بشكل يش أناشيم لو اثنين الخيوط بشكل سكرينهم علينا بعم بو أصول بعم جامع أصول لرعوت بعم إيفون الليخ يعني كل زمان عبدين بأخذ خايفين لعبود بأخذ خايفين يعني يش كل خيس قداء عبدين بإسرائيل يعني أفقد يقول لعزفت شني يعني خايفين لخيوط بأخذ خايفين لخيوط بأخذ يعني إين برا
In the Jordan Valley of the West Bank, the Oslo Accords designated that 90% of the land is in Area C, meaning under full Israeli military and civil control. This is a contiguous area. Therefore, Palestinian communities in areas A and B are not connected to each other.
היה לך זמן. לא, היה לך זמן עד היום. אני לא אהיה סנגור. זה עכשיו יפול עליך, וואו.
By denying Palestinian communities the right to farm, to build commercial or residential structures, by destroying those structures which Palestinians do build without the unobtainable permits from the Israeli-run civil administration, the aims of the project become clear.
ونحن نسمع بوين نليخ
بنطالب الحكومة دولة إسرائيل الشعب الإسرائيلي
كيف نليخ نحن
اللي عندهم إنسانية عندهم ضمير اطلعوا على الوضع اللي احنا عايشين فيه يعني.
مت بقى مشتغل بقى يتصفى
وانت شايف يعني شايف الوضع اللي عايشينه
لو على السوق كلهم
شايف الوضع يعني شايفين بيجوا صحفيين وبيجوا ناس بيشوفوا عايشين الوضع اللي احنا عايشينه وضع هذا
رؤوم متنخلين
هذا الوضع عايشينه
زركيم إفانيم على بارود زركيم
والله الوضع كل ما باله بالذات سوق كل ما باله
بقوتوا بتركترون باقيين بسوس
مشاكل بتشتغل قاعدين
شوتير راك مستقل
ولا بتاخذوا في الأراضي وبرحلوا فيها الناس وين بدنا نطير وين بنروح
نحن أخشاب
وين بدنا نروح
افشل لخيوط كاخا
احنا عشنا هون بدنا نموت هون
يبوا لبيت يروقة يلدين
امان احنا وياهم مش مشاكل يعني في المنطقة كلها
يروقة أسوس يروقة خموريم وايه يغيم
انا عمري 52 سنه.
ما قداحش له
عايش في المنطقه هاي، ما صارش ولا اي مشكله.
ورق ابروس
مش مشاكل يعني.
هو مشتغلش ترى راه بيت صبا رأوه
وياهم جيرانه، بدنا نعيش في امن وامان.
رأوه بلوعه سوكلو.
روح وين بدنا نطير؟
راك سكريم
حنا اطفال فش
انيار
يعني. عشنا هون 52 سنه.
نحن لفاد
شو ضلنا هالعمر يعني نعيش؟
نحن عسينا 10 سنين عسينا بقينا كلهم.
هاي معاملة صعيب دعم الدولة الديمقراطية.
أخشاب نفسك
تعامل شعب محتل هيك.
أخشاب كلنا شيء متعيفين بو. ما أصور كلها ما أصور. إين شتح بتوخ إين.
The project is denuded of any vague credibility when contrasting the demolition of 1,504 Palestinian residential and commercial or agricultural structures from January 2006 with the continued expansion of Israeli settlements, including allocation of land and resources to both the Israeli military and to settler regional councils.
נותנים לנו כל שעה צו הריסה, זה לא משפט, ואם באים הורסים זה לא משנה כלום. אנחנו יושבים ואחר כך נחזור ולבנות, ואין לנו לאיפה נלך, אין מקום אחר.
It's to make them miserable. It's not just the demolition order, it's to close the grazing area, to deny water from them, electricity. It's full system that's working against them. And they hoping that one day they will break, go up to the cities, to Bas, Yassir, and clean this area from Palestinians. They live all the time under the demolition, evacuation fear that tomorrow they will come to demolish. They will stay here and we shall help them to rebuild it. This is what we do. Until a few years ago, it wasn't like the other parts of the occupation. The settlements here was established by the Labour Party back in the 70s. In the last few years, the population here getting changed and coming settlers with ideals about sitting here, and they bring with them the violence. Yeah, and one of the things we're trying to do is to show that the Jordan Valley is part of the occupation.
One potent weapon deployed by the Israeli state in their attempt to destroy Palestinian communities in the Jordan Valley is to severely limit access to water for both home and agricultural use. 10,000 residents of 50 or more Palestinian communities in Area C receive less than 20% of the WHO recommended 100 liters per day. Even then, this water is frequently unsafe for human consumption, being largely purchased by Palestinians from private vendors at significantly higher prices than those of municipal water suppliers. These Palestinian communities are specifically debarred by the civil administration and Israeli military from obtaining connections to municipal water supplies.
To the Summary Area Office of the Attorney General, Bethel, reference 00152-01-8243, 18 Kislev 5770, 6 December 2017. Dear friend, regarding a response to your appeal to the declaration of circumscribed area or Puner access Judeans, your reference 10164 dated 11 November 2017, 10164-74-2 dated 12 November 1997. We hereby confirm the receipt of your appeal, which is referenced against the declaration of territory Judeans 5767, 2017, hereinafter the delimitation order which was transferred to our office on behalf of your clients, hereinafter referred to as the appeal. 2. The outset. which states that the commander of the IDF forces Judeans can't accept your application against the delimitation order as in Bill 3. In summary, the appeal alleges that the delimitation order does not apply to Palestinian residents, that order delimitation was published in manner contrary to the law, infringed the right of argument of the residents of the area, that order delimitation constitutes a violation of international law because the decision of the military commander is unreasonable. Finally, an argument was added to uphold the existing reservation in Section 6C of the order regarding unauthorized buildings. Judeans area, paper 1539, 5064, 2003. Hereinafter, the order regarding unauthorized buildings. 4. At the beginning of our response, we should state that the documents required in accordance with the provisions of Section 9B of the delimitation order and Section 10A of the order regarding unauthorized buildings licensed were not attached to the appeal. Thus, no documents have been attached to prove your client's rights in the land in the delimitation order. Permits were not attached to buildings located in the designated area, and an affidavit verifying the facts in question was not attached. In accordance with Section 10C2 of the order regarding authorized buildings, this is sufficient to postpone the appeal. 5. It should be noted that Section 6B of the order regarding unauthorized buildings was repealed in Amendment Number 4 to the order of 22nd of November 15, so that there is currently no impediment to issuing a delimitation order on territory where there is illegal construction carried out by Palestinian residents, as was also noted by appeal that referenced supplement. 6. With regards to the claim raised in the document of completion, according to which the delimitation order is invalid because it does not apply to those who stay if the area has been permitted, it is not accepted. Section 6C of the order regarding unauthorized structures requires the granting of a permit in a positive manner, and any such permit is not valid to any other party, the commander of the IDF forces Judeans. 7. Even claims that you have made by international authorities.
Che rumore? Qual era non me lo ricordo più?
Il rumore è il messaggio.
Il rumore è il messaggio.
Il rumore è il messaggio.
Vamos por más, dice la rana, escúchame, ¿eh? Esto recién empieza.